Have you ever noticed how much energy we put into trying to control everything? Our schedules, our finances, the image we project, even what others might think of us. It's like we believe that if we loosen our grip, even slightly, everything will fall apart. But here's the paradox. That constant effort to keep things perfectly managed is not only exhausting, it's often pointless. According to the American Psychological Association, 77% of people experience physical symptoms caused by stress. And a big chunk of that stress? It comes from trying to control the uncontrollable. Other people's actions, the future, unexpected events, how others react. It's like trying to hold water in your hands. Think about how many times you've reread a message 10 times before hitting send, just to avoid being misunderstood. Or the way we meticulously plan every detail of a trip, hoping to prevent the slightest inconvenience. These are small, everyday examples of how we try to shield ourselves from discomfort, even when the effort costs more than the mistake we're trying to avoid. Control gives the illusion of safety, but more often it does the opposite. It breeds anxiety, frustration, rigidity. And strangely enough, the harder we try to control things, the more they seem to slip away. Centuries ago, Michel de Montaigne already sensed this. He understood that the desire to dominate every aspect of life quickly leads to burnout. But he also realized that there is another way. Not a passive resignation, but a more lucid perspective. And in the next few minutes, we're going to explore how that shift in mindset can completely change the way you relate to life, to others, and to yourself. It all begins with one real-life experience that marked a turning point in Montaigne's journey. Michel de Montaigne came terrifyingly close to death. It happened after a brutal fall from his horse. He lost consciousness. Blood filled his mouth. His body collapsed, lifeless and limp. By all appearances, he was dying. But when he woke up, there was no panic, no desperate grasping for control. Instead, what he felt was peace, a strange kind of serenity. In that moment, he understood something profound. Life is unpredictable, fragile, and the sense of control we hold on to so tightly, it's an illusion. This single experience reshaped how Montaigne saw the world. He realized, in the most tangible way, that no amount of planning, stress, or protection could have prevented what happened. And if even life itself, our very breath, can't be guaranteed, then what exactly are we trying so hard to control? The truth is, most people only shift their perspective after a shock, a sudden illness, a job loss, a breakup they didn't see coming. These turning points crack open the illusion of control. And like Montaigne, many realize that what they thought was the end was actually the beginning of a new way of living. Rather than trying to seize control more tightly, Montaigne stepped back. He began to observe, to question what truly mattered. That's how his famous essays were born, not as instructions or absolute truths, but as pathways, ways to explore a life lived with more clarity, more lightness. And this shift in perspective leads us straight to another critical question. How much of our lives are shaped, not by who we are, but by our need to be approved? From a young age, we learn that approval feels good. A smile from a teacher, a compliment from a parent, a high grade. It starts small, but over time, it grows. Slowly, we begin to shape ourselves around what others expect. We tweak our words. We adjust our behavior. We second-guess our choices. Before making a decision, many people ask themselves, what will they think? Will this disappoint someone? It might seem harmless, but the cost is high. Because bit by bit, we begin to live lives that aren't truly ours. We pursue degrees that sound respectable, take jobs that seem reasonable, stay in relationships because it's what's expected. And even when we get that validation, it rarely satisfies, because we're not being seen for who we are, but for the version we created to be accepted. A study from Harvard University found that people who constantly seek external validation experience higher levels of anxiety, and lower life satisfaction. Why? Because when your sense of worth depends on others, you lose touch with your own compass. Montaigne understood this long before the science. He didn't write to impress. He didn't chase applause. He wrote to understand himself. And that's exactly why his words still resonate centuries later. Because deep down, we all feel it. That quiet pressure to be perfect, to always appear strong, competent, happy, even when we're not. But that image, it takes effort to maintain. Behind the mask, there's exhaustion, fear of failure, fear of being seen as we really are. But detachment isn't about giving up or becoming cold. It's about choosing where to invest your energy and where it no longer serves you. Think about someone who's stuck in a job that no longer makes sense, yet stays out of fear of change. Or someone who remains in a relationship simply out of habit or guilt. In these cases, attachment isn't love or commitment. It's fear disguised as responsibility. A study by Gallup found that 60% of people worldwide feel emotionally detached from their work. They stay even though they know their current path no longer resonates. This detachment isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of clarity. Montaigne understood this well. He withdrew from public life, not because he was giving up on life, but because he realized it no longer aligned with his values. By stepping away, he created space for something else. The space to explore his inner world, to write, to live authentically. And this idea of detachment is far from a passive resignation. It's an active decision to stop investing in what drains you, to let go of what no longer holds meaning. The shift? It's profound. Once you let go, you begin to feel lighter, not because you have less to do, but because you're no longer doing things out of obligation. You're choosing what matters. Many people don't feel that lightness until they stop holding on to what they've been carrying for too long. And this kind of release doesn't mean abandonment. It creates the space for something new to emerge. Montaigne's detachment didn't mean withdrawing from life altogether. Rather, it meant disengaging from the things that didn't align with his core values. By letting go of those external pressures, he opened up the possibility for deeper understanding. In life, there's a subtle pressure to always be consistent, to never change your mind, as if shifting your beliefs or evolving your ideas were a weakness. But the truth is, in a world that's constantly changing, clinging to the same ideas at all costs isn't stability, it's rigidity. Montaigne understood this well. He didn't see changing his mind as a sign of weakness. On the contrary, he embraced it as a sign of growth. In his essays, he made it clear, I do not portray myself all at once, but as I am at this moment. He understood that maturity comes when we accept that what we believe today can change as we grow, as we learn, as we experience new things. Think about someone who's defended a particular belief or way of life for years, until a personal event, a loss, a career shift, or a trip opens their eyes to a new perspective. They feel transformed, but the fear of seeming inconsistent often keeps them from acknowledging it. They continue to defend outdated beliefs, even though they no longer align with their current values. Research from Cornell University shows that those who can change their views when presented with new information tend to make better decisions and have healthier relationships. In other words, flexibility doesn't weaken your identity. It strengthens your ability to adapt with clarity. Building your life on fixed, unchanging truths is like constructing a house with no windows. It may seem solid, but it isolates you from the world. Once you embrace the idea that change is natural, new possibilities emerge, and this openness brings lightness and curiosity. This acceptance of change doesn't just affect how we view the world, it changes how we view ourselves. We stop judging ourselves for evolving. We stop holding ourselves to rigid standards. Instead, we start to embrace the flow of life, where each shift in perspective is a natural step forward. It's in these moments, when we let go of control and the fear of being inconsistent, that we begin to feel truly aligned, both with ourselves and with the world around us. And this alignment, this authenticity, is where true peace begins. So if you've ever felt the pressure to be someone you're not, to maintain an image or a version of yourself that no longer fits, remember, true freedom comes from embracing the fluidity of life. When you stop trying to control every outcome, when you stop trying to prove your worth constantly, that's when the magic happens.